Welcome back to another edition of the What's the Play podcast. We know. It's been a while, but we've had Brian, sports fan, and myself holding it down for the NFL draft content. We were kind of in the dog days of the NBA season, leading up until the battle for the 10th seed in both conferences. There were some cool things going on that we probably missed. The coolest thing that we probably missed was the resurgence of Jalen Green, but the Rockets aren't in the play-in, so we're not going to talk about them today. Um, this episode is for the playoffs, and we're recording prior to the final play-in games. So you have the Pelicans versus the Kings for that last spot in the Western Conference, and then you have the Bulls versus the Miami Heat for that last spot in the Eastern Conference. But before we make those predictions, quick reviews based off the games we already saw. We had the Lakers and Pelicans, a good game. Kings Warriors, not so great of a game. Um, Heat Sixers, great game, and then Bulls Hawks, awful game. So we could probably skip through the Bulls and Hawks. Hawks put up a stinker. Trae Young and Dejounte Murray just aren't good together. So I'm interested to see what they do going into the offseason. If one or both are moved, I don't think we'll see both of them together on this team next season. The Bulls, Kobe White, 42. You could argue he probably had one of the better, if not the best, playing game out of anybody this weekend. Him, Zion had a great game as well. But Kobe White, 42, to give the Bulls a chance at the 8th seed. And now that Jimmy Butler isn't playing, some people may have the Bulls favored in this game. We'll talk about that in a second. But Kobe White, very impressive. He's probably second for most people in most improved voting. He's had a very impressive season considering how he was viewed coming into the year. A lot of people really viewed him as like a at best, six man of the year type of guy off the bench scoring punch. But the Bulls gave him the keys to the offense this year. It's about time, and he cooked. Like halfway or maybe a quarter of the way through the season, you really started to see him become like this 20-point scorer. So, what are you guys' opinions quickly on the Bulls versus the Hawks game that we witnessed? Was that last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just you want to take a crack at it, Brian, first, or but
I mean, I
let
don't
me
have
start.
too much to say on it because,
Yeah,
It was a bad game, but Kobe White. That's really all I
yeah, but I
had
said
was
Kobe
Kobe.
White dropped 40. I think Deontay had like a nice game to start out, and everybody was talking about that. But then,
Trae Young had an abysmal game.
yeah, so
Really in
Offensively
that
and
clutch point,
defensive.
only
so
one
like
three.
CT said, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him in the offseason. Because I think we had a conversation in the group chat. It was like whoever loses these play-in games is probably gonna be the candidate to get everything blown up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, I didn't have too much from that game. I didn't. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I did not watch that game at all.
I think we could have a whole episode talking about the Hawks, and
You should say that.
we
You
could have
shouldn't.
a whole episode talking about the Hawks, like just what they have to do going forward. Because I mean, you look at it on paper, and it looks decent, like, but just on the court, it doesn't work together. DeAndre Hunter barely plays. They can't figure out this Clint Capella and Yuka Okongwu situation. They got rid of John Collins, made an upgrade in Jalen Johnson, apparently, and they still weren't able to figure it out. Trae Young missed a good portion of the season, and then him and DeJounte just don't play well together for the most part. So it's like it looks good on paper, but on the court it's just been really bad. So it's like, do they hit the button, get rid of Trae, or do they try to get some pieces for DeJounte, try to continue to build around Trae? Because Trae is kind of I don't want to. He's an all NBA level player. He could have a potential season where he's in MVP talks. Honestly, if they put together the right team, if they have the success, the numbers he puts up, he's consistent, 28 and 10. And if they're a top seed in the East, that's MVP talks, 28 and 10. But I don't know what you got, Nate. Nate's our resident expert. So what you think? What you got on the Hawks, man? We know about
I just think. Okay, before we look at the outlook, I say for them moving forward, just like I guess like quick notes from this game. I think yeah, it's pretty uneventful, right? They got blown out. 131-16. Kobe White 42. Nearly flirted with the triple double. I think 42, 9, and 6. And the most impressive thing, didn't turn over the ball. I thought other notable players, Vucevic played well. Thought DeRozan played well. Dalen Terry, I think, was great defensively. But for the Hawks, I just think there needs to be overall of that roster. I think look, yeah, Trey Young did not do himself any favors with the way he played, but I'm cognizant of the fact that he played what I want to say 4 games in 2 months, and he's essentially playing with really one hand due to that lingering hand injury he's got. But yeah, they need to figure out that problem on the wings, especially last night's really apparent. DeAndre Hunter, there's no nice way to say it. He just had a horrible season. Bogey was off. Um, I don't know. I think moving forward, Dejan, I mean, to keep this team relatively competitive, I think you keep Trey Young. I think your best bet is probably to trade Murray for assets, and you just try to build from there. They're in a weird spot too because I don't like. I wasn't high on Kobe Buffkin, but I thought he had potential. But I don't think he's ready to be slotted in that starting role yet. Um,
Do they still have AJ?
well,
AJ,
uh,
they didn't play him.
they didn't play him, but
So that's another young wing that's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was on the. I don't. He was healthy, and he just wasn't getting playing time. Ever since Quinn Snyder took over, his minutes went down. Like even last year.
yeah,
But the thing with the
there,
Hawks.
there,
Oh, go ahead.
there are some bright pieces that they can take away from this season. Jalen
Johnson.
Johnson is a legitimate core piece. Um, And then even early on in the year, like Trey, when he was healthy, he had a crazy stretch of like putting up 30-10, like real early in the season. Um, you think of guys that have gone to play in the G League this summer. I know Buffkin is one of them. I'm forgetting a few other names, but they have looked better than they did at the beginning of the year. I think their G League program does a good job of having players behind defensively. There's one guy I'm forgetting. There are bright spots. There's that Boston, the Celtics game. Like they're this team isn't necessarily dead in the water where you have to blow it up completely, but there just has to be a lot of shuffling around with that roster.
But at the same time, um, like if you shuffle the roster for one more season and they're still in the same position, then they're probably in that blow up territory. Because being mediocre is probably one of the worst places to be. I've said this for years. Being mediocre is one of the worst places to be in basketball. Because you're either stuck in the high lottery or you're the 8 seed getting swept every year. Like, and this is the team that even if hypothetically, say they do make a Trey Young trade, they keep Dejounte. I don't think they're bad enough to bottom out. They're
Yeah.
good. They were good this season with Dejounte without Trey Young. They've been terrible when they both play together. But I do think if the Dejounte move is made, maybe they bring in like a above average starter who can replace his minutes. But I don't. I really don't see the ceiling with this the current pieces they have. I mean, Jalen Johnson, like you said, has been a bright spot. I mean, I don't know what they could get for Capella. Is he even on the books next year?
Mm.
I feel like that Capella experiment ran a little too long. They probably should have handed the keys over to Big O by now. But I mean, it's a lot going on. But I feel like if they really want to, I don't want to say trade both of them, but maybe you get rid of both of them, go into next season with Jalen Johnson, and then hope you get a decent draft pick for 2025.
He's
Thanks
got
for
one more
Coop.
year on this deal, CT.
Yeah, get rid of him, man. I mean, I don't know who's taking him, but I mean,
It's
expired
just they need
go
to
for
have.
a big body center. Somebody will take him, but you probably won't get the best value.
Yeah, I don't know. It's in the rough spot. I just think they need to. That front office needs to have some sense of direction. I think at going into this season, it felt. I don't say stuck in the water, but just the expectations and the moves that they made going into this year didn't match 1-to-1 in terms of what they probably thought internally they wanted to do in terms of competing. Um, yeah, it's either it's weird. Like when I say completely don't blow it up, I just think the Murray right. I think we've all talked about this even throughout the whole season. Like the Murray move didn't work out. Um, it was a high risk high reward, but that high risk high reward didn't work out. But it's either when I say completely don't blow it up, I just think you had to take another shot again, use him as an asset. But if you
No,
don't feel comfortable doing that, then blow it up. I
I'm
don't
really.
think it's
Oh, go ahead.
no. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, You say high risk, high reward. I'm really surprised by how bad this went because I honestly thought it was a pretty safe deal considering that Dejounte Murray provided a lot of what they needed. I thought it was pretty safe with the chance to be high reward. I didn't really view it as high risk,
I feel
but in
like you.
hindsight, clearly it was.
I feel like you said it wasn't going to work though, because you said it yourself that Trey wasn't going to be willing to play off ball.
Well, that's a Trey Young thing. But I didn't think they were good because what was that deal they were coming off going to the conference finals, or was that the year before?
I think it was the year before, but you might be
I
right.
didn't think they would be this bad. Like 10 seed bad. This is a team that you thought was soaring up or at least maintaining the level that they were at. I didn't, I didn't think the DeJounte deal would have put them over the top to be a championship team at the time, but I thought it would at least help them maintain where they currently were at, and they dropped off.
So kind
So
of like
that's,
where like a Knicks or somebody like that is right now,
I
where you're like
mean,
that 2 to 4.
Knicks, Cavs, Magic around that range. I didn't think the Magic would have completely surpassed them by now. This is kind of embarrassing for them, but I think we spend a lot of time on the Hawks. Let's
Well, it's not embarrassing.
oh, go
I
ahead.
don't think it's I don't think it's I think it's embarrassing. I think it's a given. I think it's something that the Hawks and any other fringe playoff team should really look at. And the Magic really didn't do anything crazy. It's just really years of solid draft picks and developing young talent. That's really what it is. And you look at the Hawks, right? Like we go all the way back to when was Trey drafted? 2018,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like they flipped the Luka pick for what would become Trey and Cam Reddish, but given how given before even Trey played a single game, you knew where the Hawks stood in terms of where they were as a franchise. Where you're coming off of era where you don't have Teague or Horford or Paul Millsap, right? They're past that normal playoff team now where they're a rebuilding team. You bring in Trey, he was so good that it sped up the time that it sped up the timeline where it's like in theory if Trey didn't have that playoff run that he had that I think his second year,
Yeah,
you're probably seeing an Atlanta Hawks team that slowly but surely does it looked like it was trying to do is just develop young players, build through the draft. Um,
That playoff run was fool's gold
I
for
know
them.
it's not fool's gold. I just think it was strike while the iron's hot. And considering this is a team that went what to the was it
Conference final?
conference finals?
Yeah.
Conference finals, right? Yeah, given that and given the outlook, it wasn't terrible. I just think
Well, I'm gonna say fool's
DeJounte in
gold.
hindsight wasn't the right guy to fast track that process.
I was about to
yeah.
say accelerate the process when you probably didn't have to.
Yeah, and I think well then at the same time though it's weird because I think DeAndre Hunter didn't pan out to the player he was.
That's a big thing. Missing out on
Yeah,
DeAndre and Cam Reddish
and
in that draft.
guys that were drafted subsequently like Okongwu hasn't been terrible, but he's not someone I would think to like push into the starting lineup moving forward. Um, Kobe Buff can ward a lot on him, but he's not. I don't think he's ready to start next year. They're in a weird spot. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you have to roll your card. You have to roll the dice at that point. It's tough, but I think at this point you either commit to it, or you just try to take another swing with flipping Murray and seeing if something can stick, or you just blow it up.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think they
I don't
probably
think there's
start
any.
there, and then if it doesn't
No.
work, then they'll just kind of probably trade Trey and then just blow everything up.
It's hard to give away trade though. I don't know. I think from a perspective of the city, he goes hard for Atlanta, and too, he's played 4 games in 2 months going into this game. Um, and like CT said, he can be in that All Star conversation with the numbers he puts up. Um, there's something there for this team if Trey is still on the Hawks at the start of the next season, but it really is there's a lot of pressure on that front office. Like I feel for Kyle Korver and Landry Fields, and I forget the owner's name, but they have some work cut out for them.
I'll say this, and then I'll try to move us on. You say it's hard to move on from Trey Young, but there are potential packages that could make the process a little bit easier. And the one of the greatest football coaches of all time, Bill Belichick, did say it's easier to move on. It's better to move on from a player
Year
1 year
too
too
early.
early than 1 year too late. Considering it's an undersized guard, you just never know. But it is Trey Young, MVP caliber numbers year in and year out. 28-10. You can say what you want. We have people in the MVP race right now putting up numbers like that. So, I mean, get 2 first-round picks from the Spurs. You never know, but uh,
We'll see.
they got 2 premium picks. I mean, maybe it's not premium in this draft, but 2 top 10, top 12 picks this year. But that's probably enough on the Hawks unless Nate has anything to add. We can move on to the Western Conference. Golden State Warriors went down. The dynasty looks like it may be over. They lost to the Kings in order to move on to even have a chance to make the playoffs. So the Warriors are officially eliminated. They posted the eliminate graphic. A lot of people were like, "Oh, they finally put Steph Curry on the graphic." Yada yada yada. But yeah, the Warriors are eliminated. They lost to the Kings in a pretty disgusting fashion. Shout out to Keon Ellis for the Kings. Not only was he chasing around Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, but he was letting it fly. A lot of people were questioning it because they were out. They were without Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter, and Keon Ellis has stepped up for the most part. So shout out to the Kings. We'll talk about them more later in our predictions. But the Warriors, where do they go from here? Is it time to blow it all up? Is it time to just admit that the dynasty is over? Do we try to, Clay's a free agent, so it's not like you can get much for him in return unless you do a sign and trade. Do we get rid of Draymond, or do we try to build around Steph and Draymond? Can try to build around the big three. It's a lot of options that the front office could do. I'm gonna ask you two. If you each were the GM of the Golden State Warriors, if you were in Mike Dunleavy Jr.'s shoes, what is your decision on Klay Thompson, and then what is your decision on Draymond Green?
Klay, we're letting walk. Draymond, I don't think I can get anything worth value of him, so I'm bringing him back. And I don't know if it was Steve Kerr or it was somebody else, but somebody said like when you had Trey Jackson Davis and Draymond together, their defense was pretty solid. So I think you run it back with Draymond one more year, and you say you basically say, all right, this is going to be Steph and the young guys. We're going to see who ends up playing well and who doesn't, and then after that, you probably because I don't see a way to like go get a star that you can pair with Steph. I know people have been talking about like Giannis and stuff like that, but I don't see a package that gets you Giannis. So
Hey, step into the chair, man.
Man,
Day one on the job, they tell you figure out what we. Hey, we don't know what we doing. We need you to figure out what to do with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green.
before we step in the chair, and I think this will tie into the GM question though.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there needs to be the Warriors front office needs to have a little bit, not even a little bit, needs to have some clarity and some honesty with themselves about this roster going into the year and looking at the outcome now. And the reason why I say that is because, and this is, we're recording this, I think after a lot of the Golden State had their exit interviews today, or yeah, today, and Mike Dunleavy had a quote that just kind of tickled me, where he was talking about tickling. It amused me. Where tickled my funny bone. Um, it amused me about Moses Moody and talking about like going to year four. Like, yeah, going to year four, we need to a guy going to year four. We need to find minutes for him. And I really wonder where those minutes didn't resurface now, given that Klay. It's not a question. He's struggled this whole year. And when I look at, especially when I think of the last game they just played against the Kings, Klay Thompson plays 32 minutes and scores 0 points, right?
yeah,
Moses Moody has what 16 points in 15 minutes. What are we doing? I look at Steve Kerr and I think about. I'm not saying fire him, but I think about the mindset that the Warriors and I think this is the biggest talking point when we talk about the Warriors is that with that two they call like the two timelines, right, where they have the short term timeline and the long term timeline. It doesn't work, and this is what it just ties in really into moving forward. You either build for the future or you're winning now. You can't do it simultaneously, and I think it really showed with the Jonathan Kuminga saga. It really showed with the usage of players that could have helped. I don't agree with the idea of like Trace Jackson Davis or whatever. I butchered his name, TJD, where it's like he's not the difference between playing spot and a championship. Um, do you think he could have given you a list throughout the regular season at times when you played him more? Sure, whatever. But really, the way I see it, if I'm the GM, if your name is not Stephen Curry or Jonathan Kuminga, you are on the trading block. I do think that I do think that they retain Draymond. Klay, it's time to go, brother. Thank you for the service that you did. And it sucks, honestly, because in my head, and I think a lot of people's heads, I really thought he was a Warrior for life. Um, but if Steph on that press conference post game is adamant about like I want to win now, you have to move him. You have to move him because I just don't think you're getting the value, especially if this is someone who's going to be in your starting five playing 30 minutes a game. Um, yeah, I think Brian hit on the head with Draymond. I think you can get some value out of him. I think there are teams that I don't know if they're necessarily throwing draft capital at you for him, but I think you can flip him for role players that can contribute to a championship team. Uh, But yeah, I think Jonathan Kuminga and Steph Curry are untouchables, and you just have to trade aggressively, given the window that they have, and win this ASAP because you have Steph Curry on your roster, right? Like
Mhm.
that's my outlook if I'm the GM.
I think it's tough because the four championships just lingers in your head. It's like you want to do so right by these guys who were there for you for these four championships
Yeah.
because they are the main reasons that they're here. Um, but it's very hard to bring Clay back on any significant amount of money. And it's really disappointing because, like Nate said, you think of him as like a warrior lifer because he's not one of the players where you really questioned how his game would age until the injury started coming around. You thought he
Yep.
would be one of the players where he would always find a way to be relevant on this team. And maybe he goes elsewhere and finds the shot, and he's able to just become that catch and shoot guy that we thought he would age into as the with the Warriors. But it's not working currently, and I think the if he comes back, the pressure will just continue to build, and it probably just will continue to not work out. So you probably just let Clay go on about the rest of his career, finish off his last few years somewhere else. For Draymond, I think you keep him around. You probably got to get him some type of program, but on the court, I mean, he's still kind of doing the Draymond Green things. It's just when he is not on the court, it's really affecting the team negatively. Um, but you have Jonathan Kuminga, you have Moses Moody, you have AirPods off the bench. So there's young pieces there to where you could see like a semi-competitive team. Jonathan Kuminga took one part one of that jump this year. Maybe you hope that he gets a part two next year. And if he does that, he's teetering around 20 to 23 points per game and give you good defense, a big wing. I don't know what they do with Wiggins. I don't know if anybody
That's the
take
big
that
thing.
contract. This is also a scenario of a player you probably want to move off of 1 year early rather than 1 year too late because his value is gone. So you probably just have to keep him on the team and just hope that he builds his value back up while playing because there's not much you can probably do with him. But you have Steph. Steph is telling you he wants to win. He's not comfortable just aging out the league. I guess he doesn't want to go out on this Kobe and just continue to lose on at the end of his career. You know, you don't want to get to the territory where he's after next year. I wouldn't be surprised if that trade request comes through. If it goes bad, if they 37-45 type record, if it's just not looking good for them, I wouldn't be surprised. And maybe they prefer to move him. If that type of season happens, this is the type of situation in general where a superstar would be up for trade. But the four championships, you just hold on
It's
to
going
it.
very
But I think
recently.
there's a path to
Yeah.
competitiveness for them.
Obviously,
Um,
the worst case scenario is to trade him. I don't think they ever want to move him, which is why it's like forget the two timeline process. You buy into if Steph Curry's on your team, you buy into the timeline of win now.
Absolutely.
I think though, I actually have a question for y'all. Like, cause I was just thinking about it. Cause when you were talking about like Kuminga's running in the phases of this year, it's like, what is this team's identity? Like, if you were to talk about like the Warriors, like, what is their identity?
Hmm.
you mean play style or just their identity?
It could be place. Yeah, I guess play. Yeah, sure, play style. Like,
I
what
mean,
do you?
from the casual perspective, still thinks the Warriors are just shoot a bunch of threes, but that's it's not really the case by the roster construction. Well, yeah, the roster construction because they really have been really only starting one consistent 3 point shooter. Sorry, Clay, but you just haven't been that consistent this year. Because they roll out Steph, Clay, Kaminga, Draymond. Who's there? Wiggins. Or they still starting Wiggins, or they could put him on the bench.
It's just the Wiggins against the there were times at this season. No, but I want to say it was what's his name for
Seemed like they were
the
playing Trace more down the stretch from what I
Oh,
was seeing,
AirPods.
but
yeah.
AirPods. Okay. Yeah, I
But
mean the identity is Steph Curry figure something out.
yeah,
And I don't think they have enough in place for the other guys that actually can contribute. I don't think they have enough going for Jonathan Kuminga. I don't think they really have much drawn up for him. I don't think they prepared coming into the season for him to be a key part of their offense, a key focal point of their offense. So I think going into next year, they need to start drawing up some stuff for Jonathan Kuminga. AirPods is a pretty good to decent backup point guard, role playing, off ball player currently. Maybe you draw some stuff up for him off the bench. I don't know, but their offense is really just Steph Curry bring the ball down, figure something out. Draymond, dribble handoff, you know the drill. And then if Clay's open, give it to him and just hope he makes it.
Yeah. I was gonna
I
say
don't
I
know.
know Golden State at their heyday was like obviously try to find a mismatch and we're gonna be switchable defensively, especially when you have a guy like Draymond who was the perfect Swiss Army knife. So I think that's what they try to do roster wise, but obviously Wiggins is taking a step back. Obviously we know Draymond he's still productive, but he's not 2015 2016 Draymond. Um, and then of course Clay's not the defender he is anymore. So once that happens, and as CT said, you don't prepare for guys like to have Kaminga be that second option, or to have to try to get the younger guys acclimated. Then you have a situation where it does become Steph do everything, and that's kind of where we are right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird because I just the reason why I spell that identity is like right. We talk about like Kaminga, who um was at one point the second best player on this team for like nearly 30 to 40 games, and then TJD was like very important to honestly uh run from being like a really important role player to like near the end of the season and playing like just didn't play that much. Only logged 10 minutes on Tuesday. Moody never getting a consistent run, just being logged behind Clay and so on and so forth. And the starting lineup and the rotations that just looks so different that like going into this playing game, it's not surprised that you know they fell into that spell of inconsistency or just like bad play. It's yeah, it's weird. It's such a weird spot. I just it's a lot of people have to go. I think also like Gary Payne probably has to be moved as well. Him coming in and out of the lineup, I think, hurt Moody as well in terms of where he fell in that rotation. Uh, he also just doesn't have the same impact defensively, I think, that he's had in their championship run, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's probably due to health. But yeah, I think of those young guys, and I think of you need to find the right balance next year of solid veterans, but at the same time allowing. And it's weird because it's not necessarily the two time timeline thing, but it's just like you need them. You need like a select few of them ready to contribute to a push if you're in win now mode.
Yeah. Well, the Warriors got a lot to figure out. Good thing that our names aren't Mike Dunleavy Jr., but we can move on to the teams that still have a chance. We could kind of rapid fire these 8 seed games if you would like to,
Yeah.
but both of these games are considered toss ups by Vegas right now. That's kind of surprising because there's some big injuries affecting some of the teams who are currently the favorites. Actually, the Heat are still favored over the Bulls with Jimmy Butler being out
Ah.
for the foreseeable future. 1.5 point favorite, so it's still considered probably a toss up. And then the Kings are slightly favored by 1 point over the Pelicans. The Pelicans, of course, without Zion Williamson. The Kings are without both of their wings, Malik Monk and Kevin Herter. So, Bulls Heat, rapid fire. And then if you want to give one or two quick reasons why you selected the team that you did. Brian,
So
we'll start.
I'm gonna be quick. I'm gonna go with the Heat. I'm surprised they're a favorite. But I'm gonna go with the Heat. I just think they still have enough collectively to win, even without Jimmy being there. Even though obviously DeMar DeRozan and I'm sure Zach LaVine will probably have great games.
Hey, who you got? Bulls Heat. No Jimmy. No Terry Rozier, too. I forgot to mention that. No Terry Rozier.
Very impactful.
Yeah, I think momentum matters in these playing games as much as you can grab in these two games. I am going to go. Well, I don't want to count out Bam because I think Bam can play well in these high pressure games, but
It's a lot to ask for him.
yeah, but when you're all star, yeah, Jimmy's out, Tyler Hero, good lord, is Caruso playing?
Probably not.
I don't know. That sprained
Okay,
ankle, he'll probably try to play through it. I don't know if he's been listed as out yet, though.
Jovic is. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna tentatively pick the Heat for now.
Oh, yeah. That's two for the Heat, none for the Bulls. I'm gonna go ahead and not make it a sweep. I'm gonna go with the Bulls here. I think I may have gone with the Heat if they had Terry Rozier, just because they just really don't have that perimeter scoring outside of Tyler Hero in this game. And that you're asking a lot of him to be able to really carry that offensive load alongside Bam Adebayo. Unless the Heat can get the Bulls to play their game and really slow the game down, I think Kobe White and DeMar DeRozan might be able to get it done, especially if the Bulls have Caruso locking up on the outside. And considering the shooting performance Tyler Hero just put up, unless he turns it around completely, that 9 for 27, that can't happen again. I'm going to go with the Bulls here. And let's move on to the Western Conference. For the eighth seed, we have the Pelicans without Zion, and Bi is coming into the game. Or I believe he may be on a hidden minutes restriction. They're not telling the public about, because his last two games that he's played 25 minutes or less. So I don't know if that'll be the case for the next game. But Pelicans versus the Kings. We have a Pelican supporter. Pelican supporter.
Avengers. I'm
14.
letting y'all know right now. This is it. This is it. I think a lot will be answered going into this game. I think it's really like the last line in terms of what the Pelicans are looking for in the future with that duo of Zion and Ingram. I think questions will be answered. Questions, that we've been wondering in terms of their longevity or their possibility of playing together. I think it was in the practice. Larry Nance had media availability, and he was talking about, they're talking about 14, and they're just saying like, he'll get into this flow. Like he just needs to get into this flow. And, like there's these big games we relied on him before, and he made reference to last year's playoff run, and it's short, but you think about his performance against the Suns and how he was one of few superstars to take them to six. I want to say, yeah. So, or one of few teams to take him to six. I'm putting my money on 14, man. Pels, it's probably like I know what it means, but I'm taking Brandon Ingram. I'm taking Brandon Ingram, especially with the Kings missing Herder and Monk. Yeah.
You want to go CT?
I'm gonna go. I'm going Kings. So Brian's gonna be able to break the tie. I'm gonna go Kings. Zion loss really hurts. I don't think Brandon Ingram is healthy. That's what Nate has been telling us. Whenever we talk about him, Nate's been telling us he's hurt. So I don't think
second
Brandon
game
Ingram
back off the injury.
Right. So if Brandon Ingram's hurt, I don't know if they'll be able to get the job done. I mean, the Pelicans, I will give them credit. They played pretty scrappy without Bi, without Zion at the end of that game against the Lakers, but they just weren't really able to get the job done. They'll be at home, correct? The Pelicans.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, they should be at home because they're the 7th seed.
They're not. They have not been good at home. They are 7. They've lost 7 of their last 8, I believe, at home. But the Kings coming in with the momentum, like Nate said, momentum is very important. Coming off a big win against the Warriors, I feel like that's almost a exercising the demons type win against the Warriors after being upset in the first round by them last year. I think De'Aaron Fox coming in might go straight at C.J. McCollum, Dyson Daniels, Jose Alvarado, and I don't know what they're going to do with Sabonis. You can try to throw Big Val out there, but
I think they have the better.
Is Nate a Sabonis hater? I forgot.
It's not Nate. It's not Nate. I think Nate likes Sabonis.
Well, no. Nate was hating on Sabonis last year in the playoffs.
No, I don't dislike him.
He was pushing agendas because of the De'Aaron Fox thing. That's all it was.
People are, I think people discredit De'Aaron Fox too much.
I gave De'Aaron Fox credit first. I said De'Aaron first. I said De'Aaron's name first. So
I do think though that the Pelicans have the personnel to guard really well. And I look at Trey Murphy and I look at Herb Jones, who I've said in this podcast before, I hold him in high esteem when it comes to all defensive players in this league.
Mm-hmm. As you should.
I really, really want to see the wrinkles that the Kings throw in their DHO heavy offense. I think the Warriors really just kind of dropped the ball with guarding Sabonis, where at times they were just too up high up him, so it was really easy for guys instead of doing the handoff, just slipping back door. I'll give Sabonis this. He did a really great job of getting back into the play when that Warriors run that were high pick and roll, and Jeremiah plays a 4-on-3 game. he did a really, really great job of just getting back into the play and guarding that. So kudos to him. And the Kings as a whole just did a good job guarding that high pick and roll action. Um, I do wonder though with the length that the wings of the Pelicans wings have, it gives them the versatility to necessarily not only just drop on someone, but also play up if they have to. Um, so I think they're really good at recovering. If anything happens, backdoor anyone makes a slot cut or whatnot. So it'll be really good. I also think Willie Green's is a hell of a coach. So I think no matter what, even if certain players aren't playing that well, he, he's gonna make it competitive. Um, so yeah, it's a. I mean, there's no mincing it. This is a really important game for Brandon Ingram
Yeah.
with the relation to his future on this franchise.
Future,
Some
past.
some would call it a legacy game.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? I've
He's
seen a
had
lot
a
of people
rough
on my TL saying it's over.
this
I still believe,
2023
man. I'm
2024
so
stretch.
man.
Ever since summer 2023, he's been
Yeah.
they've been talking about him for a
Been on
while.
the clock.
But Brian, did you break the tie?
I will break the tie now. So before I start, I'm gonna give basically my three keys to the game. So as Nate talked about, Herb Jones, who I think I've been on record saying I feel like he'll win a DPOY at some point. I understand how difficult that'll be, but I think he'll win in 1 year. I want to see who he ends up guarding because I understand with the personnel they have, they probably won't put him on De'Aaron a lot, but it would be interesting to see if later in the game late in the game they decide to make that crucial decision. Other thing would be obviously Brandon Ingram's health. I think that because I think late game execution both ways is going to be the biggest. Obviously, I mean that's obviously basic basketball, but I think late game execution, whether it's ISO ball or it's facilitating for others, I think the ball is going to have to be in Brandon Ingram's hands to make plays instead of CJ. So he's gonna have. I believe he's gonna have to be able to make the plays down the stretch. Final key, I would say, as CT said, guarding some bonus. Because as I said earlier, I don't think this is going to be a Bay Keegan Murray beat you game, which it seemed like from Golden State. So I do think this is a game that Sabonis is going to have to put up more than like 16-9 in order for them to be successful. So for Nate's sanity and to push agendas for Zach, who was not on the episode, I'm going to pick the New Orleans Pelicans.
All right, 2-1. You guys against me, both games. So we're gonna have the Pelicans advance to the Western Conference playoffs, and then we're gonna have the Miami Heat advance to the Eastern Conference playoffs. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Yes. Yeah, and I think both
All right.
teams faced a pretty quick demise.
Okay, yeah. I was about to say let's start in the East. First round predictions for the Eastern Conference. 1-8, the Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat. We just talked about these exercising demons.
Man,
I think this is the perfect time for the Celtics to get back on the Miami Heat. I personally have Celtics in 5. Celtics have been the best team in basketball for this year. They've been one of the better teams in basketball history this season. So I got the Celtics in 5. They tend to like to play with their food a little bit, but I'm feeling like this is a different year. They got me. This may be my last year being reeled in, but they got me. Celtics in 5.
All right. So for me, I'm leaning Celtics in 5 right now, but I'm scared to say Celtics in 6 because the biggest thing this year is going to be focus. So if they're playing around like I feel like the Bulls will probably win game 3 just because obviously nobody wants to go down 3-0.
Eric Spoelstra.
That too, but I don't think if Jimmy's not playing, there's no reason why we should. I don't think we should lose a game. Honestly,
No, I was just saying Heat. I think you said Bulls.
Oh yeah, because I'm thinking about the Bulls. My fault.
Either or.
But yeah, so I think the Heat. I mean, the Heat will probably win. Will probably find a way to win a game. But I think seeing what happened last year, and also having a guy like Drew Holiday who's been there before, I think he'll be able to keep them a little bit more focused than previous teams. So I'm hoping they can finish that. They would be able to finish it in 5. But it may go 6 just because Miami's Miami and Boston likes to play with their food.
This is it for Boston. Not is it like they don't win here, it's over, but this should be, in all honesty, in all seriousness, this should be the year where they're in the NBA Finals. Anything short of that is a failure. And I think
Absolutely.
internally for them, they probably feel anything short of a championship is a failure. I think they get both teams out of here. Um, I'm going Boston in four. I
Mm.
really don't see why
Yeah.
they should drop a game.
That
I
means they're
really don't.
locked in if they're winning in four.
Only thing with the Heat is I don't think Jimmy's really out for 3 weeks if they make it to the playoffs
Yeah, he'll
or
probably be
however
there
long.
like what game three, game
If he
four.
was actually able to finish the game in his mind, he probably thinks he can play right now. Um,
They're not going
so
to back.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a game three, game four rumor that Jimmy's coming back or could come back. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me
Yeah.
at all. The greatest doctors in the world have they
Yeah,
got.
but if they're down three, let's say after game three, they're down 3-0. What
But
reason
let's
is there?
say after game three, they're down 2-1. He's suiting up.
Yeah.
We'll
He's
see. We
suiting
don't
up.
we don't know the diagnosis just yet, but
We
do
don't,
we?
but we don't. They just
I
said
think they said it
MCL.
might be an MCL, but we don't have the exact diagnosis yet.
MCL sprain, torn MCL. We don't know what it is. So I think there's a chance we could see Jimmy. But Celtics at 5. I'm feeling pretty confident about it this year. So we don't have to
Yeah.
spend time.
And then the final thing, obviously, this is what you brought in Kristaps Porzingis for Miami, because it was
That
hard to beat the
zone.
zone last year. So yeah, they should be able to get it done in 5. There should be no excuses. If they drop another game, then that means they weren't focused, and we saw that
Right.
with Atlanta last year. So I would hope they would make amends each round this season.
Get they look back each round. I like that. 2 versus 7. This might be the best one of the first round.
I was hoping for
Knicks
Knicks Heat here.
versus Sixers. Knicks versus Sixers. 2 versus 7. What you thinking? Who wants to start? I mean, I can start if y'all don't. Y'all
I
don't
will
mind.
I will say Knicks in 6. It
Okay.
could be Knicks in 5. It could be Knicks in 5, but I'm gonna say Knicks in 6 because I just think I don't think they could still win on the road. They could definitely still win on the road, but I think Philly wins games 3 and 4. So I'm gonna say
Okay.
that they win in 6, but it could very easily be 5 depending on how they contain Embiid, and obviously I don't think they have anybody that can slow down Jalen Brunson. So I think this will be the Jalen Brunson not coming out party, but this will be his series.
What you got, Nate? Knicks Sixers. You gonna be bold?
No, I mean I have the Knicks. Um, yeah, I have the Knicks going here. I just think that um the team has been on a roll. I think uh what they're probably going to get more out of other players that aren't named Jalen Brunson and or named Jalen Brunson compared to like the Sixers and
Yeah,
players not named Joel Embiid. I will say this though, like I think we saw in the play in like Maxi played a game, um, but like he seemed like Nicholas Batum, who was a huge lift for them and really just made timely shots in the last 3 minutes of the fourth to give them the win against Miami. I think we can see that at play against the Knicks, but I also just
I think you could get that for a game at home, but that would have to be Tobias consistently in
yeah,
order for them to have a chance
exactly.
to win.
And Tobias did not play well against Miami, so
Because I think Maxi will show up for. I think he'll show up with Embiid. So at that point, the question is, can Tobias Harris be that 3 that outplays whoever the next 3 is? Since we don't. Julius Randle isn't expected to play this series, right?
No, he's out for the
no,
season.
he's out for the
Ah,
season and had
okay.
surgery.
I see the
This
Julius
is
Randle.
also, this is also a Knicks team that's getting OG back, hopefully by game one. If not by game one, definitely in the series. Um, and I think the last time that they played, no, I know the last 2 games they split. Uh, and I think one of those games Embiid wasn't playing, and I think the other one, Ananobi also wasn't playing. Or no, I think Joel didn't play for both, but I think he LG adds at least defensively adds a wrinkle to this team that will help them out. So I'm going next.
Yeah, so the
Yeah,
one they won, OG played. The one the Sixers won, Joel didn't play.
I think I'm gonna go. I'm torn between Knicks and 6 or 7. Um, it's tough, man, because the Joel we've been seeing recently hasn't been the Joel we saw at the beginning of the season. That's to be expected. He's coming off that meniscus tear. But if that Joel shows up, it'll be tough. This is a tough series for the Knicks to win. I mean, it's already a tough series for them to win. The Sixers are not really your real 7 seed in this conference. Realistically, this isn't the best matchup for them in the first round. But I think with Joel coming off the injury, he hasn't really been getting off to the best starts in games. He's not shooting as efficiently because he's not being as aggressive. I don't know if he trusts the knee as much. Um, so I'm gonna go Knicks. Jalen Brunson, I do think has to have a pretty great series, and he's been playing a great season. So I'm not putting it past him. But I do think he has to play a pretty great series because they're going to be relying on him a lot offensively, just to create, not even just to score the ball, but he's going to be doing a lot of creating. But I mean, Deuce McBride off the bench has been pretty good. I think Stephen A. Smith was talking about Quentin Grimes. I think he was trying to talk about Deuce McBride. But Deuce McBride has been pretty good, so I do think he'll be able to come in and supplement what Jalen Brunson is doing. But Tibbs, he regular season he rides the starters. So in the playoffs, Jalen Brunson, them 44-minute games, you better be ready for him. And then, like Nate said, if they get OG back, I think that just further solidifies it. Having that defensive wing, you can move all over the court, just guarding a lot of different players. I will say the Sixers, they weren't really using Buddy Hield right at the beginning of the year. They still aren't really using him right off ball, but he was doing a lot of good stuff getting to the paint and kicking against the Heat a couple days ago. I think for the Sixers, they have to have a lot of stuff go right for them to win every single game. Like, they literally had to have Nicholas Batum drop 20 points for them to win that game a couple nights ago. But I'm going to go Knicks in 6 or 7. I'm going to say Knicks in 7 just to be on the edge a little bit. Knicks in 7. Jalen Brunson, I think, is going to have a great series, probably 30-plus points per game. And then the role players, I think the role players on the Knicks are just so consistent. The Dante DiVincenzo's, Hartenstein, those guys, I think they'll be able to supplement what they need to get done. So Knicks in 7. I think we all pick the Knicks.
Yeah.
All right. 3 versus 6. We have the Indiana Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton as the 6th seed is coming into the playoffs, struggling, kind of picking it up towards the end of the season, but he's been struggling the second half of the season against the Milwaukee Bucks, who are certainly battle-tested over the past couple years. They are, again, without Giannis in the playoffs, at least the first game, I believe is what was said, or is it the first 2? So the Bucks have a battle ahead of them where they lose these first 2 games without Giannis. It could be a struggle. But what you guys got? This isn't the same Pacers team at the beginning of the season where they were like one of the best offenses in basketball. They've really struggled as late. They go as Tyrese goes, really. And Tyrese hasn't really been going that well lately. I'm going to say Bucks in 6 just because I think Dame is enough right now. Hopefully we get a good version of Dame, but I think Dame is enough for now. I think in years past I would have taken the Pacers because the Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday combination wasn't really hitting the way it had in that prime finals run. But this year, I think Dame is enough to lift the offense to a level where they can still compete with a team like the Pacers. And then once Giannis comes back, I think that just puts them even more over the top. So I'm gonna go Bucks in 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bucks. I'll say Bucks in 5. The Pacers would have been my upset pick here, especially considering how they did this season. If Tyrese was healthier. But of course, with that, and then kind of still trying to work Siakam into the offense, it's been a little bit of a struggle. But I think this is prime time for Damian to go back and just be that number one option, just for the time being. Hopefully they can get, and if you go up 3-1 instead of being 2-2, you probably can give Giannis a little bit more rest for the next round. So. I think the Bucks players will probably have that mindset in there. Have that mindset, try to get Giannis as much rest as possible. Try to finish up the series as quickly as possible. Try to get some rest in case that Knicks series does go 7 as CT predicted. So I think they get it done in 5. But but we could definitely see it going 6 or 7, depending on when Giannis gets back and how Damian Lillard is looking.
Yeah, I think there's some variables at play. The Pacers now, I think the Pacers did not have, and I'm thinking of like the game where Giannis like took the game or was like looking for the game ball or whatever, because that's the game that sticks in my mind. I think these two teams. Uh, the Pacers now have. Well, I think the Pacers just did not have the man, didn't have the personnel or just any individual who could guard Giannis. They have an upgrade in that, and now in Pascal, who's a better matchup, right? I'm not saying he's gonna like lock him down, but they have someone to put a body on Giannis now. Uh, so we'll see how that goes, but I think I don't know. This is really a hard series to call. Buddy Hield's on this team anymore. Turns out for the year. Uh, this has been historically this season a really really bad matchup for the Bucks, especially because their transition defense has been terrible, and we know with Tyrese at the helm, this Pacer team likes to get on a run. Uh, man, I mean, Dame hasn't also played all the games against the Pacers this year. If none, I can't. I know he didn't play one. I don't know if he. I don't know if there's any more, but I know for a fact he missed one game. This is the hardest series to call for me.
Yeah.
That being said, man, I don't. I don't.
Hey
I
man,
don't know. It's this is hard.
Yeah.
I gosh.
This series is definitely going 7 in 8 months.
It's definitely going seven in my head, especially considering, and it's really just the also just the way Tyrese has been playing the slump he's in. Um, gosh,
I think if it goes 7, it has to lean Bucks. But but then again, if it goes 7, that means the Pacers are playing pretty well.
Yeah, and it probably depends on what Giannis is looking like. Because if Giannis is putting up like 20 point games in like Game 5 and Game 6, I don't know if we're believing in Milwaukee.
it's also Giannis's availability, right? Where it's like if he's not playing, then the Pacers win this series. I think.
Yeah, that's why I said if
Um,
Tyrese was like a little like if the playoffs were like another week from now, I would probably pick the Pacers because I feel like that might be just enough time for Tyrese to at least play better. I'm not saying he would have been 100%, but I think Tyrese had like 75, 80% probably wins this series,
this
especially
is
with the
weird. 'Cause you're
Giannis
talking about a
questions.
team that's like one of the worst in pacing, and then a team that can give you 150 on a good night in the
Yeah,
Pacers. It's this is
that's another thing. The Bucks defense has been in question all season. So
I'm going to say, given the hilarity that will be Doc Rivers if they lose, I'm gonna go Pacers. I'm gonna go Pacers in seven. Um,
we'll be ready to push that agenda with Gil's Arena.
yeah, I will go Pacers, but this could also be like a Bucks in like five or six. It's just the nature of
Very close.
this is like the most unsure Pacers in seven I'm putting out there, but yeah.
I will
So
say
this
it's
is
not
about the worst.
not a great matchup for the Bucks. Play
It's
styles.
terrible matchup for them.
But I'm just relying on. I guess I'm just going based off how Tyrese has played the last few months. Um,
Yeah.
but playoff time, maybe he figures it out. I mean, they've had a few days off. Maybe he's taking time to get his body right, get his shot back right. But for now, I'm going Bucks. But we can move on to 4-5. We have the Orlando Magic versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. 4-5 matchup. Cavs, up and down season, really. They've had points of the season where they look like one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. They've had other points where they look like they've played like a play-in team. The Magic, they started off around like the 2-3 seed, tailed off into looking like what we really thought they were, is maybe a play-in team. Then that late season surge, they was making that push for that 2 seed. I believe they're the 4 seed, correct? The Magic.
Magic of the 5 seed.
Oh, okay. Well, they finished off at the 5 seed with no chance of even making the play-in. They were clear of the play-in. Um, Paolo, second year, big second year. Jalen Suggs has turned into one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. Jonathan Isaac, when healthy, when on the floor, has been, of course, one of the minister of defense, ain't that what they call him? And then Wendell Carter, Mo Wagner has been giving you good minutes all year. Franz Wagner, of course. For the Cavs, y'all know the team: Donovan, Darius, uh, Mobley, who's been cooked a few times this season, hasn't really taken that jump y'all have been waiting for. And then Jared Allen. Jared Allen looked like an all-star for a good portion of this season. So, Cavs Magic, who y'all got?
So I'm gonna ask this real quick. In this series, do we think would Jalen Suggs be the point of attack or defender?
Start. He got to be. They start him at the point guard for the
Okay,
most part.
because I mean, either way, I was gonna take Magic at 7 because I just at first I thought they were the 4 seed, but yeah, but I'm gonna take the Magic at 7 because I just think that even as evenly matched as both teams are, having a back even though Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are both scoring threats, I think having a guy like Jalen Suggs, being able to potentially neutralize one of those two guys, makes it a lot tougher on Cleveland because then at that point you are probably relying on Evan Mobley to make that jump, and I don't know if you're getting that offensively from him. I think that this is going to be Paolo's coming out party, for lack of a better term. Since this will be probably the first time that a lot of people have been able to actually watch Paolo for a whole series since he was back in college at Duke. So I think he's gonna show up and show out. I think Franz Wagner is gonna have a good series as well, and I just think again that point of attack defense. I think it'll cause problems for Cleveland, and I think there's going to be a lot of questions that Cleveland will be asking in the offseason after a hard fought series.
Back to back first round exits for the Cavs. I think I'm gonna agree with Brian here. I'm gonna go with the Magic. The Magic has been so good defensively. Jamal Mosley has done a great job with his team this year. I think Paulo is probably gonna have a great series. Franz is a great complementary piece to Paulo's game, and Jalen Suggs at the point guard position doesn't do too much. And this is Jalen Suggs is a guy who I've hated on in the past couple of years, but he's really found his role, found his niche in the league. Um, and I think he'll be able to slow down the Donovan Mitchells and the Darius Garlands. And I don't think Darius Garland's going to give the Cavs what they need. I think Donovan Mitchell's going to get his, but I do think the Cavs are going to need something from Darius Garland that he just really hasn't provided for most of the season, honestly. And I don't see it ticking up in the playoffs. So I'm gonna go Magic here, based off the defense, the coaching, and Paulo.
Yeah,
Oh wait, Magic in 6.
I think. I mean, for the Cavs, it's really dependent on Mitchell's health, right? It's really really dependent. I think the Cavs did a good job of last year. Their issues with shooting, going out and getting someone like Max Strus, but it's really going to be a point where they're going to key in on Mitchell defensively, and everybody, including like Isaac Okoro, has to be. That's something that comes to mind where I think he shot the ball pretty well this regular season, and it's been huge for them. But come playoff time, he really has to really be able to shoot the ball. Uh,
And you got
and
him covered, man. Look what you did.
what's no, he really has to shoot the ball. I think Strus and Niang will also be valuable here too. Because they'll just help in terms of pulling from contests. Defensively, the Cavs just have to do a good job of containing Franz and Paulo, and also just not let up open threes. Um, you know what, I do think like that one day of rest that Mitchell had against Indiana before the regular season ended, even though he had a bum knee, he didn't look bad. I think 8 days will do him well. Um, This is a really good series for the Cavs, though, mentally, because I think considering how the seeding went, they can run to Philly next round. That part, that like the bottom part is of that bracket. You have the Bucks and Pacers, which is brutal. Um, but the Cavs have our opportunity to potentially run to like Philly or New York, and I think they match up not too bad against those teams. I think this series will be a good test for them, and yeah, I want to.
I think the winner of the series plays
They
the
will
winner of the
play.
Celtics.
They will play Boston next.
They don't play the winner of Philly and.
This
No,
4-5.
I think it's 4-5 versus 1-8, and then
Right,
2-3
no
versus
more.
I mean 2-7 versus 3-6.
Yeah. I think the Cavs win this in 6.
Cavs in 6.
GB.
Let's introduce the latest member to the podcast, the sleepiest member. JB, new hair.
Thanks for noticing. Yeah, thanks.
Come on,
I know y'all gave me
the
I appreciate y'all letting me come on now. Y'all told me
how are we gonna stop you?
Say what?
How are we gonna stop you?
Stop me. What you talking about?
Yeah, how are we gonna stop you from getting on the episode?
That's what you on. How is he gonna stop you from joining the call?
No, I said you told me the start time was wrong. You said 9:45, and I'm here at 9:45.
Nobody said 9:45.
Nobody told you that.
That's the notice I got. But
from who?
Let's see. What we talking about?
I will check this message.
The Lord. The Lord.
That circadian clock.
It's whooping my ass. But y'all doing playoff predictions?
Yeah.
We talking about next season.
So silly, man.
But no, for the East first.
Whoa.
About to say, do this one first, and then we'll let you do the.
We're on Magic first.
So Magic Cavs first, and then we'll go back to the other ones.
I don't know if we're going back. He may have just missed them.
You don't want to let him do rapid fire?
Nah, he's not. He don't know what that means.
I'll be tuned in. I'll be tuned into that playoff for sure. I think it's a nice matchup seeing how, like you said, Jalen Suggs versus the guards. It's ironic because the Cavs have 2 undersized guards and the Magic have a number of tall. I'm just use the word tall. No Diddy. Tall guards on their end. So we'll see how they manage to get that production up. Also, their starting 5 is rarely played together all season. So I think the Magic can possibly they may be able to sneak a playoff win. Sorry, playoff series win. Just because of that cohesion. And Evan Mobley versus Paolo is going to be fun. Rookie of the year versus Rookie of the year. No, wait.
Evan Mobley ain't no Rookie of the year.
Should have been. He should have been.
He's on his way to being Defense Player of the Year, though.
Never, ever going to do that. He will never. I will put money that Evan Mobley is never going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
He might very well win it this year.
He's not winning. Rudy Gobert is running away with the award this year, Nate.
How much you put on it?
On what, this year or ever?
Ever.
I put $20 on it.
Got it. All right. Virtual handshake.
This is on tape, so we will come back to this if Evan Mobley ever wins DPOY.
Okay. Brian, also, we can't hear you, bro.
You can't hear me?
We can hear him. No. Yeah, I can.
Brian, I can't hear you, bro. Let me see. Maybe I'm doing something wrong.
This is scary. Saying, you can hear. So you can hear Nate. He can hear you. He can hear you and Nate CT.
I guess so.
Porter type shit?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Evan Mobley's not winning the award. I don't know what Nate's talking about. There's literally no chance he wins that. But Rudy Gobert is probably like minus 1,000.
That's good.
I mean, I think Rudy will win it, but I'm just saying, like,
I don't even think Evan's second.
So who'd you have second?
Odds?
Yeah, who's second in the odds?
I don't know. I looked at 2.
Would it be Wemby?
One had Mobley at second, then one had like Wemby at second.
What site was that had Mobley second?
The Vegas Insider.
I ain't never heard of him. Vegas Insider, man. You made that account. But yeah, so 3 out of the four of us selected the Magic over the Cavs for this series. Bit of a surprise. I thought it would be slightly more even, but we got Magic over the Cavs for that one. Let's shift our attention. Maybe if we have time in the end, I'll let JB give rapid fire for the East, but not risking it right now. Western Conference. This is where the conversation will probably pick up. 1 seed, Oklahoma City Thunder against our 8 seed, who we selected from the play-in, the New Orleans Pelicans. Right?
Yes.
Okay. I think this could be a more competitive series than the other 1-8 matchup, but I'm still gonna go with the Thunder over the Pelicans just because of the Zion injury. They did say he'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks, but that does not mean he'll be back in 2 weeks. And if that's not the case, I'm gonna go Thunder in 5 competitive games.
I think this one would play out like Bucks Pacers, where like if Zion was healthy, this may go 7, maybe even 6. But I think I'm gonna co-sign with CT here and say the Thunder win in 5.
JB, who you got?
He's done talking? Okay. I didn't know he was done talking. I'm sorry. I agree with you. I think Thunder in 5 is good, just given Zion's injury. And I just want to say, watching that game and seeing him get injured infuriated me so much. Like, I know he's not fat no more. He beat the fat allegations. It's cool. But, like, bro, where was you when I needed you? Like, I just thought they were going to win that game. I saw them make an 18-point comeback, and I was like, oh, here we go. And then, 40-11, it still got hurt. Like, bro. But anyways, yeah.
The amount of points you have should stop you from getting injured.
I'm just saying, like, he was on a good run. It's about to be a legacy-type game. Now we have to watch a brand new
it's still a legacy game. He performed.
And lost. That's his legacy now. You got,
but no, he got no. His legacy is that he gets hurt. That's currently his legacy. But that was a game, 40-11. Yes, I think the attention should have been shifted to his co-star, but he's also hurt. So, look at Nate. Look at that eye roll. All right, Nate, who you got in this series? Brandon Ingram, the New Orleans Brandon Ingrams, or Oklahoma City Thunder?
I think if the Kings advance, I'll say Nuggets. Actually, no. Honestly, regardless of either team, I think this goes to Kings in 5. If Kings advance, I think Nuggets win in 5. Regardless of Kings or Nuggets, I think they'll give the Pelicans a. I think they can.
What are you talking about?
Did you mean Kings or Pelicans?
He's lost.
What are you talking
about? Regardless of the Kings or Pelicans advance.
Who's the 1 seed?
I'm tripping.
Oh, man. Sleepy Nate. He never beat them allegations, man. Sleepy Nate. Come on, man. We're gonna pick up the speed for you. I know it's only time. Number 1, Oklahoma City Thunder. I literally said it before he went, too. Versus the New Orleans.
He forgot that his team got to play. He forgot that his team got to play Denver. This is crazy.
I hear Brian.
Listen. Do we know when how bad Zion's injury is?
It's a hamstring, and they said reevaluate it in 2 weeks. Damn. You know them hamstrings, man. We seen it in fantasy football. We know how long.
Man,
I look at the Pelicans personnel, and I'm like, oh goodness. Oh, we talk about wings who can guard. I'm about to say something crazy right now. Someone better stop me. If the Pelicans Thunder goes to 7. And
if everyone's healthy, assuming full health, or assuming Zion.
I think even if Zion don't play, I think it still goes to 7.
We're pushing agendas tonight. We are really pushing agendas tonight.
I think it goes
Stop it.
I have experience. I'm Gordon Hayward. I can see you.
It's not even that. It's not like. It's not even. It's not. This is Brian's face took me out. I'm sorry. It's not even that. But I just. No, it's really. I can't even lie because the Thunder kind of spanked the Pelicans this year in the regular season. Thunder won the last 2, if I remember correctly. One of them by like 20. Last time the Pelicans won the game, I want to say it's early in the season. Like I want to say November because they played 3 times this year.
Hey, what's your case? It's not sounding good.
That's what he was definitely about to use.
Okay, I'll say Thunder in 7.
Okay.
Okay.
Thunder in
I
7.
think both these teams, regardless of the Pelicans, I think the Suns too also make a challenge. But I don't know. Like we talk about how this team is mature beyond their years, and it shows like great on them for making the first seed, right? It's still the playoffs, so it's still the playoffs. So like I just want to be like with Jalen Williams, J is beyond his years. Shea is, I mean Shea has been in the playoffs before, but he's matured and grows like Chet as well as unlock this offense for them, unlock this team really defensively as well, just overall. Um, there's nothing that can prepare you for the NBA playoffs, though. So Ingram is battle tested. The Kings are battle. They were in a war last year in the first round against the Warriors, right? The Pelicans
Valanciunas has
have
been through a whole lot of playoff battles.
Valanciunas has been through it, right? And Herb and Trey have the reps of guarding a Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in a playoff series. It may not seem like much because they only won 2 games, but it could translate very well going into this year. So I like honestly in my heart of hearts, I want to give the Pelicans the nudge, but I'm also biased. But I'll begrudgingly say OKC in 7. This will be a great test for them.
Yeah.
No matter, like even if they put the Kings or the Pelicans, this will be a great test for them. This is kind of similar like the Pacers one for me too, where it's like it's a shaky 7.
Yeah.
It's a shaky 7. I don't know. We'll see.
I will say this. I mean, it could potentially go. I think the only way it goes like 6 or 7 to me is if like Valanciunas does to Chet what like Mitchell Robinson was doing to Jared Allen and Evan Mobley last year. Like if Valanciunas is just taking him to school, I think there's a chance they may steal a game or two just because I do think whoever dominates the paint will probably be the team that finds a way to win this series. But outside of that, I don't think it gets past 5.
All right. 2 versus 7. This will be the most watched series of the first round just because of who is in it. We have Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets versus the Los Angeles Lakers. The kid from Akron, 21st year in the league, 40,000 points, 10,000 assists, 10,000 rebounds. LeBron. I'm going to go with the Nuggets. Nuggets in 6. I think it's going to be slightly more competitive than last year. I think the Lakers may sneak a couple out. Maybe a couple of those somber shuffles don't go in this year. But I do think the Nuggets will win the series. This is just that starting lineup. It doesn't get much better than the starting lineup in the league. Their cohesiveness, the way they play together, the way the Nuggets really utilize playing without space. The best in basketball. They are also very good at spacing the floor, but they are also very aware of how to minimize space on the offensive end. Aaron Gordon in that dunker spot, Jokic also in the paint. It's not really something you see a lot of the time where you have constant flow in and out of the paint. They're very good at minimizing that space and making defenders choose what they have to do with Aaron Gordon. They leave him in the corner a lot, but then once you leave him in the corner, he's a threat cutting to the basket. Jokic getting work in from the high post or the on the block. They're doing a very great job. Aaron Gordon's a threat. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. Michael Porter Jr. isn't his brother, and then Jamal Murray, another year removed from the injury, so it'll be even better this year. So I'm gonna go with the Nuggets. Playoff Murray is a all NBA level player. Really think about it. So I'm gonna go with the Nuggets in 6, but I do think the Lakers could probably sneak a couple this year.
So I'm gonna say Nuggets in 5, potentially Nuggets in 6 if Jamal Murray just has a bad game. To CT's point, I think they are probably the best cutting team in the league, and we saw that. I saw that a lot on display, especially his point about like being able to minimize space, like when they played the Celtics, because it felt like it was either a Jokic score or Aaron Gordon alley oop like every time down the stretch when they were making plays. So. I think AD will have a good series. I think Brown will play well. I don't trust their supporting cast enough to get more than maybe a win. So I think it's just kind of a repeat of last year, minus maybe a couple of heaves not being made. But I think it's Nuggets in 5.
JB, what you got?
I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna say Nuggets in 6, man. I want to use the antithesis of what you said. I'm gonna say maximize. That's my word for this playoffs. I feel like the Nuggets maximize the most of the roster. Sorry, maximize the roster the most out of everyone in the league. We only have one All Star, but we know playoff Murray. We know how that get. He's really an All Star caliber player. But yeah, you always see the best. You rarely see their players underperform in their role. While the Lakers, on the other hand, are pretty much outside of Bron and AD, pretty much outside of Bron, or one of the more underperforming teams that we see across the season. So it really is going to come down to the supporting cast, like Brian said. Will D'Angelo Russell step up? Will Rui play well again? Is Darvin Ham going to play Rui? Is going to keep starting Taurean Prince? See Cam Reddish, Nate, possibly.
No,
So
not a chance.
Jared Vanderbilt.
Yeah, we
Jared Vanderbilt.
You know what I'm saying? Gabe Vincent, Gabe Vincent is back. I did finally see him on the court. Gabe Vincent is back. I can say that with confidence.
He's not in Miami though.
I'd say he's back. Fuck it. He's good? Is he bad?
Sure.
All right.
Gabe
Twin now.
Vincent
That's my twin.
better players the last couple weeks too.
Mm.
You've been locked in
So-
defensively.
We're gonna see if Austin Reeves can be that third star in the series. But like I said, I think it's gonna be 6 games. It's gonna be interesting.
That's
fun
not
series.
the. I mean,
I'm about to say
Austin
D'Lo
Reeves-
probably got to be the third guy.
D'Lo been the third guy all year. He needs to be continuing.
Also got to be that 6th man.
You mean Austin off the bench?
No. I don't
You
know
off
why
the
he
bench,
said
Brian?
that. I don't know why he said that.
I mean, I
You wanna back
assume he'd
that
have
up?
to be that type
It'd
of
be
like,
so funny when Brian says something wrong and he just be quiet for like,
Like,
he's like,
elaborate?
nah,
I just assumed
I'm-
he'd have to be that kind of spark plug because he can't be, because we just said he can't, he probably can't be that third guy since D'Lo is. So
so you saying 6-man type, not the actual
yes,
6.
not literally coming off the bench, but like
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not literally. Yeah, of course not literally, because he's clearly, duh. Silly us, JB. But Nate,
Right. What was that?
like, we got. We lost him. All right.
I think y'all said.
I say y'all got to give Nate a second to think, like y'all gave me, man.
Nuggets in.
Ooh, oh, I thought he was.
Nuggets in 5.
Who? Nuggets in 5? Oh, okay. Nice and short. All right. 3 versus 6. Who's this? The Timberwolves versus the
Versus the Suns.
yawn. Versus the Suns.
You got
Who y'all
Jalen
got?
Daniels.
I might pull up. Hey, they got
Big
KD.
KD, but we got Jaden
Hey.
McDaniels. This is the series.
Hey,
This is your moment.
hey, Brian, they got Caleb Williams, but we got
We got Jaden
Daniels.
Daniels.
Nah, man, that don't hit the same. But no, Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Phoenix Suns. Minnesota Timberwolves, one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best. Anthony Edwards has taken another leap this season. Rudy Gobert has solidified the defensive end for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Cat has returned from injury. He's been struggling lately, so I'm interested to see how things work there. Not looking good, though. But Mike Conley, steady. Jaden McDaniels is Jaden McDaniels. And the Timberwolves just all-around well team. Suns, KD, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, and friends. You know, Grayson Allen is that 4th guy for him. But there's not really much consistency elsewhere. Nurkic has been off and on between solid, below average. But I think for the most part, I think in a playoff series, he can give you what you need to get in a 7-game series. Especially if he's going up against a center like Gobert, who's not going to kill you on the offensive end, where you're more worried about his presence on the defensive end. But for me, it's hard to go against KD and Devin Booker, man. I don't know. The Timberwolves have been great all year, and the Suns have been questionable all year. But I'm gonna pull the trigger. I'm gonna go Suns in 7.
I like the bold prediction.
Okay.
I don't even know if that's bold, man. It's Kevin Durant.
I think
and
it's a
Devin
bold
Booker.
prediction because I feel like this is basically what last year was with the Nuggets, except you got Bradley Beal and like Grayson Allen, who's playing well right now. Like they don't have the depth, they don't really have the level of defense they would need, especially against a team like Minnesota, who's top 2, top 3 defensively, if not number 1. So even with the question mark that will be Cat just for this round because you're not sure how much production you're going to get from him. I think that this is the series where Anthony Edwards just takes the bull by the horns, for lack of a better phrase, and just makes things happen. I think he matches whatever Devin Booker decides to do because I think Devin's going to have to be nuclear for them to even have a chance. I think KD will have a good series as well. But obviously, I think Jaden McDaniels will slow him down a little bit. And I think that coupled with the Timberwolves defense overall and them just being the better team, I don't see this series going past 5.
I'm sorry. You said you have the Timberwolves in 5?
Timberwolves in 5.
Some interesting.
I guess we're really about to see how much Jaden McDaniels they really got. We about to see. I mean, all this defense is cool, but it's Kevin Durant, man. I don't know. And you're right, they don't have the depth and they haven't had it all season. But Kevin Durant is the guy who he'll give you 44 minutes and not really show the effects of it unless he gets injured. He can give you 44 to 48 strong minutes in a game if he needs to. The depth is not there, but Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, it's really difficult to pick against either one of them. They're together now. So I'm gonna go KD D Book, man. It's hard to turn to say that they can't do it because against the Nuggets, they gave the Nuggets some pretty good bump last year, right? Didn't they lose in 6?
They did, but the whole time I was like, they're gonna have to play 44 to 48, and y'all were like, and we basically y'all looked at me like, I mean, it's not it's not gonna happen. Like if they play 44 48, it's not gonna be. You're not gonna have a chance anyway. So.
Well, they ain't have no chance really, but they took them to 6. So
yeah.
JB Nate, who y'all got?
I see where you're coming from, though, CT.
Timberwolves, Suns.
How'd you go, Nate? I don't know.
I mean, I'll say this: the Suns have swept. They swept the Timberwolves 3-0 this year. Every single win, double digit. Book and KD combined for 62 points and a 15-point win. They've had the Timberwolves number, and I remember on Sunday, and the media availability was talking about the mindset for them going in is just figure out how to beat the Suns because they just haven't been able to. Bradley Beal is shooting in the month of April, damn near 60% from 3. They're on a roll right now. Granted, I don't think he'll continue to carry that clip. Combine that with just the Timberwolves, and this is the one glaring issue they have: carelessness of the ball. This is going to 7 for me. This is probably a series I flip back and forth the most with, in the West. Because it really just comes down to if the Timberwolves can just take care of the ball, they eliminate a lot of problems for themselves. But at the same time, they just have not been able to figure out the Suns, the Suns offense from this regular season. I'm gonna go. Cat's also coming back too, and I imagine the ball is gonna be a little sticky, and the ball movement won't be the same for the Timberwolves, at least for that first game. I think the Suns win a decisive game 1. Honestly, I think they win decisively. Game 1 at least. I think the Suns win it decisively. I think it still goes to 7. I think they'll be able to rally. Yeah, I got the Suns at 7.
I know.
I like it. I like these predictions. We will definitely be tuned in for this series.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna have to rock with y'all too. I think the Suns are 7. I mean, I'm trying to think, the weaknesses of both sides. And I feel like the Timberwolves are a bit more exploitable. Rudy Gobert, Cat coming back from injury.
Say that word again?
Exploitable?
Yeah. They're going to stop playing with us, man. That's a good word.
I've been reading the dictionary from every once in a while. Come on now.
Really?
No. But I think that, like I said, the one KD and Book, playoffs, they know what to do. They don't handle business. You're going to see at least 144-point game from Book, I believe. Write that down.
44? Exactly 44 from Devin Booker?
On the dot.
Not
game
44
5.
plus.
Game 5. Oh,
Game 5. Oh, you're doing too much.
44. Strike me down. I'll be ready.
I don't know if you want to do that.
So, Jonathan Porter type shit.
What?
But
Oh, he told you.
he told. But yeah. We'll see where the Suns could be exploited. I don't really know much of their weaknesses outside of defense, but yeah, it's gonna be a very entertaining series.
But this is a good series for your defense to be the weakness because the half-court offense is not the Minnesota Timberwolves' strength, especially with Cat coming off this injury. He played like a couple games before the playoffs started and didn't look great. And Anthony Edwards, Nate was mentioning it. Anthony Edwards has not played well against the Suns this year. And if he's not playing, if he's not playing well, then the team's not having success. Like the defense will be as great as it is, but that's the engine that gets the offense going. If he's not going, then you don't stand a chance. I think Suns and 7 may be generous if the regular season trend continues.
Yeah.
I'm
expecting one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so game 1 is definitely going to be very, very interesting to watch. Because if it is decisive, like Nate says, then I can definitely see where y'all are coming from. But if it's one of those like hard fought ones, I don't know. Maybe Minnesota finds enough of a glimmer in that game, and then maybe it goes 6-7. But
I don't know, man. I might Suns and 6. I don't even know if it goes 7. Honestly, I'm just thinking playoff atmosphere. That half-court
it's hard to win in Phoenix too.
Matters so much. It matters so much. Isolation basketball, not even isolation. Half-court offense in general.
Yeah.
Your best guy going to get a bucket. The Timberwolves have that guy, but I don't know if they have that
secondary guy.
Carl is a great player, but in that, it's gonna sound stupid, but we've seen it in the playoffs to where maybe he hasn't produced to the level that you would like to see from that second guy.
They got to come back to Minnesota.
So that guy that you need to go get a bucket, I don't know if they have that other guy on the perimeter. That's what I'm trying to say. You probably need another guy on that perimeter, especially if you can't consistently rely on Cat to be that second guy offensively for you.
It's not even the second guy for me. It's just like, and taking like the playoff atmosphere and whatnot aside, it's more so just like and I'm sure coach, like I'm sure Finch is definitely thinking of just like counters to that Suns defense. But it's just the thing with Edwards is he plays, and it's not even his fault. It's really just the way that it goes. They just play so much into their defensive schemes. They load up aggressively, and I'm thinking of the regular season too. I know I want to say it was the game where Beal almost had like 40, and I was apparent to me. I just can't remember the date, but I remember watching that game and just they put that team in gridlock because they'll load up aggressively whenever he has the ball. So whenever they're in some pick and roll action, Nurk or who's their other big man?
Eubanks.
Yeah, Nurk or Eubanks. They will hedge hard, force them out, but at the same time, they'll have help defenders station the gaps, and they'll have weak side ready to peel in early on Edwards. It's just cause as much traffic as possible. And what it really comes down to is and being able to make having to trust his teammates to become knockdown 3-point shooters. And I look at the personnel. Talking about guys on the wing. Kyle Anderson, for example, he's taken less than 53s this season. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the guy I think that's going to be big for them. That he's really going to need to get them a lift. He shot 40% from 3, nearly 3-to-1 assist turnover ratio. I think he's going to make a difference in the matchups. And I think also offensively, the Timberwolves have had a really, really tough time defending cross matches. You know, as great as Towns and Reed have been this season, that's something that's really going to be glaring, as it was glaring in the regular season. And then also these make or break games. Or actually, before I say this, I'll go back to Ant. He needs to find a way to get into rhythm. I think he'll try to vary up the way he attacks defense, whether it's going early in transition or just launch. If Phoenix builds up a wall, just trying to get that pull up 3. Off ball, I know he likes to cut a lot from the weak side, especially after just giving it up. He needs, he'll even make the effort to hit the offensive glass if shots not falling. But he needs to find that rhythm, because if he can't, and the Suns continue the scheme that they've done all season, just against this team in particular, just helping that aggressively, Edwards, like, Ant will have to trust to pass his teammates, and it just comes down to them hitting the ball well. And that's the thing. The Wolves, outside of Ant, have shot 29% from 3 against Phoenix this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have to knock down timely shots if they're going to be this aggressive on Anthony Edwards, which makes sense. He's their point of attack.
Yeah.
On defense. Yeah, I expect. I know the Minnesota has done a lot in like closing lineup. It's always been just going big with that Gobert, Cat McDaniels front court. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Nickeil Alexander-Walker be really, really present late in the fourth quarters because they just need a shooting because it's not going to come for Kyle Anderson.
You think they might be able to play McDaniels off the floor if he's not hitting shots?
No, I think it'll be fun.
They might be able to play Cat off the floor.
No, they're gonna play. No, I don't think they'll play Cat off the floor. They're gonna with the cross.
These last couple games,
they're gonna play Kyle Anderson off the floor though.
Wait. Can you say that this series might affect the DPOY race?
No,
it's over because it's regular season.
I feel like you do this every playoffs.
Some should go to the playoffs.
Some awards you just try to get voted somehow through the playoffs.
It's
every year
because we see. Because like, how do we ignore what we seeing? Like, we got to think just the regular season. Like, you gonna see.
I'm saying
the same way Dwayne Casey won that 1 year and they got knocked out.
It's already here now.
Yes.
Prior to Bad's going at the end of every regular season. It never touches the playoffs. It always going.
All right. So that's what 3 people picked the Suns over the Timberwolves. All right, guess that's the upset.
Yeah, Lone Wolf.
4-5.
No pun intended.
Mavericks versus Clippers. The series that my heart is most into here.
It's going to answer so many questions.
I am. It's going to answer questions. It's going to create new ones.
I feel like Christian has so many different agendas he can push here, depending on how the series goes.
Me?
Yes. I'll get to it when we talk about it, but I'll get to it in a second.
I'll give you the exact script of what's going to happen. Mavericks in 6, right? Here's what happens. Out of the 6 games, Kawhi plays 3-ish, right? Don't know when those games will occur. Don't know if they'll be at the beginning, at the end, throughout the middle, randomly. You never know. Paul George does his thing.
What's his thing? Mental help?
No.
On the backboard?
26, 7 and 5-ish for the series.
God damn.
Yeah, 26, 6 and 5-ish.
It sounds like what he did against Dallas that 1 year.
And then James Harden does his thing. And we know what it is. Yeah. About 18, 8, 6, 38% from the field. I don't know, man. The Mavericks have been playing great basketball as of late. I don't know if anybody really wanted to see them in the playoffs, and it's just unfortunate the Clippers got to run into them again because Luka be doing it to them.
They were the best team in the West last 6 weeks of the season.
So I'm going to go Mavericks. They're coming in really hot. Kyrie and Luka play so well together. It almost reminds me of how me and JB play together. Just that sight. That was funny. But they play so well together. Prayers out to Derek Lively's family. I don't know if he's going to even play, but prayers out to his family. But the wings for the Mavericks have been pretty decent this year. I'm going to go with them. Like Nate said, they've been the best team in the West, arguably in basketball, because, the Celtics have been playing around for the last 6 weeks, really. So you could argue that they've been the best team in basketball, especially they pushed Sword out of the play-in to make sure that they had their spot locked into the playoffs. So I'm going to go with them in 6 because the Clippers, there's just so many unknowns with the Clippers, and it's almost like you need every single thing to go right for them to have success, and I just think that's unlikely for them. So Mavericks in 6 with a Paul George valiant effort. 40-44 in Game 6 from Paul George in a loss.
Okay. So I don't want to sound like a broken record or an echo chamber. CT basically said everything I was going to say, and basically gave all the agendas that I was gonna lay out as well. So unless Kawhi plays more than those 3 games, like CT saying, I have Mavericks in 6 because I trust Kyrie Irving more than James Harden.
Can't blame me for that because I think one's closer to top 20 than the other. But what do I know? What do I know? Don't roll your eyes, Nate. Who you got?
Who, me?
Yeah.
All right, I guess.
Hey, JB, you tell me.
That's what it sounded like.
I will say this. Tail the tape. These teams have played each other 3 times. This was all before, I want to say, 2024. So these are 2 very different teams. The Clippers are a team post All-Star break who are kind of crumpling. I mean, this is what happens with old teams, though they crumple and coasting. The Mavs post trade deadline, and what honestly to me seemed like a move as a rig of desperation. It worked. Gafford has been big for them. It's actually so I'm it's, I mean, honestly it's simple. Like, it doesn't take too much to build around a Doncic Irving core, but yeah, getting PJ and Gafford have been big for them. I thought losing, I mean, the Grant Williams fit didn't work, but I thought losing Seth Curry would have hurt them a little bit. But Hardaway has been shooting the ball well. Josh shooting the ball well. Dante Exum surprisingly has been shooting Derrick Jones has been shooting the ball exceptional from 3. Yeah, I mean, and you have Doncic playing he's averaging nearly a triple double on 50, 39 split. I don't know what shoot for 3 line. I want to say 80 splits. Like, it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's the thing that's intriguing to me is how the Clippers will try to slow down Doncic. Historically in playoffs, he gets his. That's just never been a thing. And then, the last series, I thought the answer to that was literally Kawhi Leonard, who was playing, I think, some of the best basketball we've seen from in years due to injury. But him and Harden are coming to the playoffs now with the knee issues, and Doncic is now coming to the series with Kyrie Irving at his side, which he didn't have the last time they matched up. I don't even have to we know who Kyrie Irving is. This is a guy also who averaged we had questions about Kyrie's fit with Luka, but he averaged 25, 5, and 5 on nearly 50, 40, 90 splits. It's also, side note, it's Champ Bog that he didn't make Team USA. But that's near.
He might be able to. Depends on how.
Yeah. I don't think they asked him. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think they asked him.
Who you beat?
Who
should he got in over?
You didn't see the quote he had today, where he was
he should have been over. If we just taken the best players, I would have brought him over Tyrese Halliburton.
I would say, okay, here's my prediction.
I don't think they asked him because of.
Well, he clearly was upset about the selection.
No, I'm saying I don't think they asked him to go.
Right.
Oh yeah. No, but that's what he was alluding to.
No, I know. No, all I'm saying is I don't think they asked him. I think he should have been in over.
Yeah, I don't think that's right. But his point was Team USA used to be about trying out in person.
Man, them trials was fake anyway. They knew their teams before they.
But anyways,
it's a plumley out there. You know the truth. But I enjoy watching it.
I will say this about the series. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to say Mavs in 7 because I'm not going to give the Clippers the benefit of the doubt. This is a team we saw it against the Jazz a couple of years ago. This is a team that could flip a switch. Granted, this usually happens when they're in good health.
Don't do that.
But you just said the Jazz series.
Their best playoff run since this whole thing has come together was when Kawhi was hurt. And you know who was leading the charge.
Okay. Let me rephrase that then. This is a team that could very well flip the switch this playoff run if they're healthy. Although Harden-led playoff teams as a reason.
No, don't say Harden-led. Oh my gosh, I'm about to crash out. Who led?
Oh man.
Who is the point guard for this team?
That doesn't mean he's leading it.
Nah, because you saying the point guard. That's like saying.
Okay,
that's like saying
Mike Conley led
Derek White led Boston Celtics team, or Drew Holiday led Celtics team. Who's the Heat?
No different because Derek White doesn't have the ball in his hands as much.
Mike Conley led Timberwolves team.
Yeah.
Rozier.
James Harden has the balls in his hands significantly in this offense.
Okay. And
okay. Listen,
not his team, not him leading.
No, it's not his team. It's Kawhi's team.
Oh,
is it?
Yo, okay.
Is it? Okay, guys. Let's not do this today. Let's not start
getting. He leading that locker room. Who's the locker room voice?
I'm not entertaining this. If there's podcast mics around, maybe it's your guy. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, Nate.
Good, boy. That was good.
All right. Listen, I like Paul George, man. It's just I know what he's trying to do. Anyway, listen. I think if the last 6 weeks have been any indication, I think this year, like I really think the Mavs will handle these dudes. But gonna give these guys the benefit of the doubt. The repertoire. You got a 2-time NBA champion here who's been through the grit of it. If he plays, Mavericks in 7, but I think a lot of the Mavericks wins will be like convincing wins, and then the wins that the Clippers do get will be really gritty. I just think the Mavs are just point blank a better team.
Now,
did JB give his?
I don't let you get all this Brandon Ingram 14 venture stuff off. I don't let you do all that. All I ask for is a little credit to Paul George and for him to be
I said Paul George
as the locker room leader. And you talking about if it's a podcast mic, like he's one of us. No, he don't be on What's the Play podcast with us. No, this is a top 20 talent in the league. We're going to put some respect on his name. This is the best player on that team right now while Kawhi is not healthy. So this is a Paul George-led Clippers team coming in to play the Mavericks. So, yes, I picked the Mavericks, but James Harden got to pick up his weight. This is not a James Harden-led team, but he got to pull his weight. You know what I mean? So we're gonna respect Paul George because the last time we seen him in the playoffs, he pulled his weight and then some. Because number 2, Kawhi was doing that injury thing again, like it is now, and they being so
doing the injury thing is so crazy.
Take Harden aside. When Kawhi was healthy in the playoffs, it was clear who the de facto number 1 on that team was, like abundantly clear, right?
He was out there out-dueling KD.
Yeah. It's abundantly
no. I don't got no beef with Kawhi. I know Kawhi is is the better player, but who's more available?
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I'm just okay.
I'm not arguing it either.
But bringing Harden. No, I'm not arguing the availability thing. But bringing Harden into the mix. When I say Harden led, I didn't necessarily mean like he is the best player on this team. It's that this offense runs through him. They went out of their way to accommodate that it runs through Harden. That's why they got Harden. They really want to get
want to get a point guard.
They didn't get him for his scoring. They got him for somebody to run the show and distribute the ball.
Who's he? Who he
going? I'm sorry.
When they get to that fourth quarter, who gonna have that ball in their hands?
You want my honest answer?
If Kawhi's not on the court, JB.
AB, who's your pick? Who's your pick, man? So we can end this.
No, you're gonna get the ball to PG, but it's not like PG's gonna be initiating the offense.
He don't have to. He is the offense. Go ahead, JB.
Okay. Man, yeah, I've been thinking about this, and it's funny because you look up and down the starting 5, and for the Mavs, it's like, okay, who's gonna guard Kawhi and PG if Kawhi's playing, of course. And then you look at the Clippers, and it's like, okay, well, what guard is gonna keep up with Kawhi, with Kyrie and Luka?
They might just stick Kawhi on Luka if he's healthy.
Didn't he get cooked though before guarding Luka? I don't know. I feel like he did.
Because I feel like you would want PG to guard Kyrie. So if you're gonna,
then you're taking your best. Then you gotta rely on James Harden to kind of cancel that out.
That is
Russell
true.
Westbrook kind of out. I don't know. But I believe in Luka. I think 7 for the Mavs is realistic. I would love to see the Clippers win, but man, this is a tough one. Honestly, I really don't know. Like I said, Luka can pull out wins by himself, and so can Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I had to go with the Mavs at the end of the day. Yeah.
Clean sweep.
4-0. Yeah. But,
y'all getting the Mavs? I mean, that's all the series.
Yeah.
Well,
do we want JB to run his rapid fire real quick before we?
No, not really. JB, quickly. Celtics.
Yes. Celtics.
76ers, Knicks.
Knicks.
And then Pacers, Bucks. All right, there you have it. Those are all of our predictions for the first round of the playoffs. If we're not back, next week, next week's a pretty busy week for the sports world with the NFL draft coming up. But we'll definitely be back for either our first round review or our second round preview, however you want to call it. But yeah, be sure to stay tuned. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to stay tuned. We will have more content. Subscribe for the basketball, football, and lifestyle content. We're gonna have more of the lifestyle stuff coming out as well.
Absolutely.
After hours, stuff like that. But yeah, thank you. Be sure to stay tuned for the next play.